rasa.ca என்ற இணையதளத்துக்கு சென்று The Rasa Drivers app-னை டவுன்லோட் Rasa Ride Sharing Company ARASA.ca என்ற இணையதளத்துக்கு சென்று The Rasa Drivers app-னை டவுன்லோட் செய்து டிரைவர்ஸாக வேலை வாய்ப்பை பெறுங்கள். மாதாந்தம் $4,000 வரை சம்பாதியுங்கள். வணிக நிறுவனங்கள் Rasa இணையதளத்தின் மூலம் மளிகைப் பொருட்கள் மற்றும் உணவுப் பொருட்களை விற்பதோடு வாடிக்கையாளர்களுக்கு டெலிவரி செய்யலாம். தமிழில் தகவல்களை அறியாளையுங்கள். GTA பற்றி 40 ஆண்டுகள் அறிந்து கொண்டவரும் வீடு விற்பனை துறை ஊடாக மக்களால் அறியப்பட்டவருமான சிவா பிள்ளை 416-854-0005. Taxi broker licensed by City of Toronto.
Recording in progress.
Bright and sunny outside. Let's make it interactive. And if you are shy in asking question, or if you are too lazy to, unmute yourself and ask, and at least put it in the chat box, because that will make it more interactive. It will not be monotonous hearing from my voice, and I keep actually talking. This is, it's a motivational class. We have to get pumped up. We have to, see that, what's next. So it's again, let's make it as a joint effort. So let me see. So Kanab, am I actually watching people who are coming in, or you're going to let them in?
I'll be letting them in. That's not a problem.
Okay. All right. So folks, please unmute yourself and ask questions and participate. Otherwise, also feel free to put some your questions in the chat box. We will make sure to get that into the chat box, and then we will make it as a team conversation. So this is again, motivation and goal setting. We did speak about this sometime last year, in the beginning of this year, January, February, and I asked these questions, why real estate? What do you want to achieve from this profession, and what's your plan and dream for that? And many of you have responded, that is, somebody, we want freedom, we want success, but I want to be my own boss. I don't want to work under somebody, right? Those all kinds of questions were answered. And then we actually discussed about that. How do you achieve that, right? You have a dream, and that's the reasons you took an effort to get the license and get into the real estate business. Now, what was the plan? And then we also actually touched about creating the database and business plan and all that, and prospecting plan. So I'm going to stop for a minute there. And how many of you have actually really implemented those ones? So that's also, we spoke about it. I just wanted to refresh your memory, and then we will take you through those topics again, because just wanted to reiterate this again and again. So let me ask you, how many we spoke about the power of implementation, right? We can sit here and talk about all those things, but how many of you really did have made your database and the prospecting plan and the business plan? So anybody wants to unmute yourself and share that? We don't want to know the details, but did anybody create a database? Anybody actually have a prospecting plan? And I'd like to hear about that experience out of that. Or put it in the chat box, please. Come on, guys, don't be shy. There's nothing to lose. And it is okay, even if you don't have any, you didn't do that because, or somebody, I'm hoping it's going to be a positive experience, or somebody who has created a prospecting plan, and how is it working, or it is not. If it is not working, let's talk through that. This is where this session is meant for your success and help you, like Kanna and Selva are actually spending money and time to get you guys to what you really wanted to achieve from this profession, right? I mean, why real estate, and what you want to accomplish from this, and what's your plan for that? So anybody wants to share? Did any of you create a database after that? Or any of the prospecting plan you folks have it? Okay. Anybody talking?
I'm sure many of them do have their business plans in place. If not written, they have it, envisioned, right?
Right.
So we spoke about that previously as well. It's always great to write things down and to goal set that way. It's something that Salvana always preaches as well. But then again, let's just say it is a little too little early in the morning to get everyone out and speaking. So we'll give them some time, and I know that there's a few new individuals that join the group as well, new members to the real estate community that's in the group at the moment.
Yeah.
So maybe while you continue, all those questions and know-hows might come up.
Right. No, I mean, the reason I was actually trying to probe is I wanted to actually hear their experience. When we discussed about that, are they seeing any change? Because those who are actually seeing some changes, I want others to hear about that. Yes, it is working well for me. Or if it is not, okay, what are we missing there? All right, so we'll talk about that, guys. At some point, please share your experience through the chat box, or unmute yourself and let you know. Again, ask yourself, why did I select this profession, right? I mean, what do I wanted to achieve from this? Now, the second thing is, how do I achieve that? What is the path I need to do it? And that's what the goal setting comes into place. And then the third is, the fourth step is the most important thing, that is the power of implementation, right? I mean, you can have all these kind of plans and all that, and if you're not actually going to implement this, it is as good as not having that. So power of implementation is the key. That is, no one else can do it. That is, only you can do it, right? So you need to, and as I said, that if the power of implementation comes from that motivation, right? What is that motivation behind you to do that, right? The motivation is actually two types of motivations, which is your internal and the external motivations, right? I mean, your intrinsic and the extrinsic motivation. So that's what this is actually, it is proven by studies that is everybody's motivations work, that there are two parts of the motivations, your intrinsic motivations and the extrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation is your own passion, your own interest, or some things which you are really, some kind of a personal satisfaction. Like, for example, somebody will get up in the morning and they'll go for a walk or a run, or you playing golf. So that nobody don't need to actually remind you to do that. That is you are passionate about that particular activities, and you have that intrinsic motivation at that. The extrinsic motivation comes from the external factors. If you're living in a street that is everybody is driving nice cars, and you will get motivated by seeing that, right? I mean, you will the motivation partners, like, or if your friends, where you are actually associated with what kind of friends and all that, you will get motivated by that. Like, I mean, that is the external factors. So you need to understand your internal factors first, because that is something only you have control on that, right? I mean, you need to identify, you need to explore that, things, your internal factors, the intrinsic motivation, and then the external factors is some things which you can control, because you can select the right people, the right motivation partners with that, right? They say that, there is actually 3 people in your life will really influence you. So it is very important to select the 3 people in your life. I'm not talking about your spouse and, your immediate families, especially with the friends. Like, if the external people, there are 3 of them. You will have many friends, but if you really look at that, there are 3 people you will be really, following, or some kind of a connections you will have it. We all have it. So it is important that is who all are those 3 peoples, and select them that to get that extrinsic motivation. Do we have any chat message? It's okay. Right. So as I said that, actually, I mean, if you think that, we are going to get motivated by listening to this me for 1 hour, it's not going to happen. Nobody can motivate. I can't motivate. Like, I mean, I can only actually show you that it is only you yourself can only motivate yourself, right? I mean, and the reason we are saying that is why it is important to ask that question, why this profession? And why did I actually select into the real estate business? And now what do I need to do that, right? I mean, when you actually select why real estate, you have different kinds of ideas. You will be thinking that, okay, I can make money, I can be my own boss. I don't want it to work for someone else. I don't have the fear of, not going to the job and losing job and all those kind of things, like that's all those kind of freedom are there. Now, what is the plan to achieve that, right? So that is what your motivation is going to fire up. So it is important that is you need to keep asking that question, why did I select this and what's my plan to achieve those goals, right? So pretty much everybody is, everybody's motivation can be different. Sometimes it's not just money, but in general, these are the 3 points which is everybody get motivated: the success, freedom, and money, right? You can think about it. You will sometimes some people wants freedom, some people say only motivated for the money, and some people will say that, I mean, I want the name, fame, and all those things, that's what it is. Like, it's a success and freedom and all that, right? Everybody's motivations is actually surrounded by these 3 points, that is you need to know which one is important to you, right? So this is what I was telling you, like the motivation partner, starting with surrounding yourself. It is very easy to get in a negative thought. It's the easiest thing in life is to give up, right? I mean, but the hard thing is to try that, right? And the best thing to enjoy that, the result of it. So that's what we all will say that you will be hearing tons of comments from people, that is, people are coming into business and then, oh, this real estate business is so hard. There are a lot of competition. Every household has some real estate member, and I mean, people are not opening the door when I do that. All that kinds of things you will be hearing day in and out. So those kind of thoughts are very easy to get influenced. So you have to make sure your motivation partner. But when you hear those kind of negative comments, have you ever thought about it? There are tons of other successful real estate realtors there, right? I mean, what are they doing different than that? So that's where you need to spend time and start thinking about it. How can I, instead of focusing your thought from this negative thoughts, and then how do you actually follow those people who are actually having success, they succeeded in this business, right? And again, success is, it's like when you really see someone who's really doing well in the real estate, you only think that, okay, he's doing extremely well, but you never think about it, what was their path, how much effort they put into that. That's where you need to really focus on that. It never happened overnight. Like, they must have spent that kind of amount time and effort to reach their career. And so your extrinsic motivation is some things which you can easily control. The intrinsic motivation is something that is with you. Like, I mean, that's not something, that's your nature, that's, you are born with that, those kind of, whether it is a passion or some things, talents. That's all. The intrinsic motivation is only on a certain extent you can actually influence or change that. But the extrinsic motivation is some things which is easily you can control, and then start focusing on that. Any questions so far? Any comments? Chat box? Nope. Okay. So, we all have 2 types of mindset, right? I mean, everybody is actually got a certain amount of fixed mindsets and certain amount of the growth mindset. So the growth mindset is the people, those who are actually think, they can improve themselves. They're not actually fixed about certain thoughts. For example, they're not thinking that, real estate business is really hard. Door knocking does not make any sense. When I do the prospecting, people are actually not returning my calls, or it's not worth it. So that's the fixed mindset. Like, people will think that it's not going to change, and they like to avoid challenges. Like, they like to, not to get into any kind of confrontations, and they avoid challenges and all that, the fixed mindset people. Whereas growth mindset people, generally, they will try hard. They will actually not going to, leave it so soon. Like, giving up, it's not that. They believe effort, that hard work really pays well. So it is welcome. They will be welcoming on feedback and criticism. They will actually find the right partner. So it's a growth mindset people are there. However, it is not that they are also completely having the growth mindset, right? It's a combination about everybody. The only difference is their growth mindset will be much more stronger than the fixed mindset approach. So, but the people who are actually the negative thinkers, people who actually complainers, and they never always think that this job is actually hard, something. So those people are the one fixed mindset people, right? So it is important to keep exploring yourself and making sure that is, how do we actually shift that thought from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset, right? You need to keep actually asking that question. And that's the reasons we are saying that the motivation, nobody can actually motivate you. It comes from you, and it is you need to actually find out, how do I actually transition from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset? And that you can do that, understanding your own want, and what is your goal? What do you want to achieve from this? What's important? Goals like something, okay, by end of this year, you instead of saying the goal setting, like when you're saying you wanted to achieve this much of amount, you need to have a goal saying, such as like, I'm going to change my car, or I'm going to actually move my home, or I'm going to send my son, kid to the university. Something like some tangible goal is what it's really more sensible than you are actually thinking that this much commission I'm going to make it, right? So ultimately, when you actually have that goal, for example, I'm going to change my car, I'm going to buy a BMW next, by end of this year. Now, the question is, how do I get that money for that? And for that, you need to actually start working, okay, this many transactions I need to do it. So that's the way, work backward rather than thinking that I'm going to make this much of commission. So your motivation will be, your point of arrival is buying that BMW or whatever the car you like it, so that's the way it is actually. You have to keep changing that shift from the fixed mindset to that growth mindset, and keep motivating yourself. Any comments so far? Karna, do you wanted to add anything?
Yeah, other than the fact that what you're saying is 100% true, there's not much else to say. When you're talking about the intrinsic and the external factors of motivation, it's very true. I feel that a lot of people focus on the external factors of motivation, seeing others and their success as one of the main reasons for themselves to be successful as well. I feel that a lot of people, including myself, lack sometimes the intrinsic value, the internal motivation. But it's vice versa. Whichever one that works for you, whichever one that you think is most important for you, is the way to go. Right? Both of them play a very similar goal when it comes to what is to take place at the end, but at the shorter time frame, how the external and internal mindsets work for motivation, it's very different.
Yeah. As I said, that the intrinsic motivation is something which it's in you. Like, you need to, like, if you get up in the morning, that you don't need any reminder, you will go to the gym, or you will do some things which is you're motivated yourselves. You have that intrinsic motivation, right? But the extrinsic motivation is something which you can easily control and change that fixed mindset to that growth mindset. And you need to keep understanding that extrinsic motivation. What are the things which is going to influence you from external factors? And that is why it is very important to find out the right partners in your, in your brokerage, or people who are actually walking around and all that. When you see that the external factors, it's an important thing, right? So said that it is very easy to give up, but it's very difficult to try and succeed from that.
Definitely.
So,
And the testament to that is 9 a.m. On a Saturday, a nice, wonderful, beautiful Saturday morning. We're all here, 61 participants, right?
Exactly.
So that's motivation in itself, to know that 61 other individuals, just like you, are listening to this, spending time to motivate yourself and to also learn on a Saturday morning, while we can, simply sleep in some cases. So that's a great start, nevertheless.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I mean, it's again, you have committed time and money and energy for this. So now, that power of implementation is something that is, like, I mean, it is entirely up to you. You need to control that. You need to actually, you are the full owner of that. And that's the reason we're saying that we can think about all kinds of plan, and we can actually listen to all kind of podcasts and all that things. But by end of the day, if you're not going to implement that, it's as good as not having any of this, right? So that is entirely up to you. So you need to actually keep thinking, asking to yourself, why is this real estate? What do I want to achieve this, right? Some of the things which you wanted to transition from the fixed mindset to the growth mindset, think about this. As I said, giving up and thinking that it is very hard, this real estate job is very hard, it is the easiest thing. You need to actually step back and think, which business is not very competitive in today's world? Think about the dentals. But I mean, how many dentals are in every mall if we have it? How many, grocery stores, the restaurants, you name any business in today's world, they're all facing competition. So real estate is no different than any of those, right? But it is when you're actually into it, you feel that this is a hard one. It is absolutely a hard one, but at the same time, have you ever thought about it? Those who are actually been successful in this, right? I mean, in today's market, and that's why the real estate market in Canada, it's a hot topic, right? So it is very important that is you need to stay focused and come out from that negative thought, right? Eliminate that option called failure. And it's a human psychology, right? If you are thinking negative, that is, it's kind of like, I mean, it will grow in you. It is faster than the positive thinking. It's a very powerful thing, negative thinking, because that's the easiest thing, right? I mean, you're giving up is the easiest thing in life. And then moment when you start getting into the negative thoughts, it is actually much more powerful than the positive thoughts. So if you're actually sitting in the office and thinking, okay, this is very difficult, I don't want it to go out and do the door knocking. Nobody is going to open the door, right? I mean, or if I call up people, it's straight away going on a voice message and all that. So those kind of things it is very easy. So you will end up not doing anything. And ultimately what happens, whatever the goal you made it or the business plan you made it's by end of the year, you will figure out. We are already at end of September. This is third quarter is beginning. So you need to have at least start focusing on the rest of the year, because November, December anyway will be slightly slower than the other months, right? And focus on what like about real estate. The other thing is, again, as I said, when you actually came to this profession, you thought about this, you thought that, okay, there is a freedom, you can actually achieve money, like flashy cars and all those kind of things. You thought about it, and that's what you need to really think about it when you're coming into this business. What you like about this business, rather than thinking and focusing on that what you don't like in this business, right? What you don't like is people are not returning, and all prospecting is actually a waste of time. Those are the things which is very hard. And then you're showing 20-30 houses, people still not making any decision. They're still actually still on the fence. They went and bought with someone else. Your friends are not doing business. So those kind of things are not the bad thing for the real estate. But you need to start focusing and change that fixed mindset to transition to the growth mindset, thinking about what you like about the real estate, right? And people always think about it, even in your brokerage also. Think about the people who are doing well, rather than leave and not doing well. The real estate business, there is saying 3 in, 3 up, 3 down. Because every time, like 3 people are coming into the business, and 3 of them are doing well, and 3 of them are exiting from the business. So that's the ratio in this. So majority of the time, like people actually tend to focus on the people who are leaving this business. Not you're not focusing on the people who are doing well, right? I mean, the 3 up is what you wanted to see. What are they doing different than others? Right. So when we actually, you know, like, I mean, it is important when you talk about all this, now comes to your goal setting, right? This is the right time to do that, because it's almost end of the year, and you can actually do, for either, if you have done in 2021 goal, you know, you need to look back and see that, you know, how far are you with this 2021 goal. If you have actually mentioned something, some specific goals and all that, have you achieved that, right? And if you haven't, what did you actually miss that? Because this is some things which you need to really see, that you had a plan about calling, spending at least 2 hours for prospecting every day. Now you look back and see that how many hours you really spent for prospecting. Have you really stick to that schedule, right? So what were the setbacks for that? Now it is time for you to make the 2022 business plan, which is generally you can actually start scrambling now, although by November, December is the time frames you really need to actually put the business plan and the goal setting and all that for the coming year, right? But this year, if you haven't met your goal, or if you haven't had any, the business plan, this is the right time to ask that question to yourself: what do we need to do to get that into my next year goal and 2022, and what's the business plan for that, right? And goal setting is an important thing, like, because if you don't have a goal, it's like you don't know where you are going to. Like, I mean, it's like a ship without the radar, right? I mean, you don't know where it's actually heading to, and you will not have any proper plans. You will not have any prospecting plan. You know, you're just getting up in the morning, or, you know, like, okay, fine, you know what, just I have the real estate license, but now what? But whereas if you have, and this is very tough, because you're not actually working on a 9-to-5 job, because there is, otherwise, if you go to an office, there is a certain protocol, or there's a certain set of work somebody has actually designed for you, and that's what the 9-to-5 job actually does it, right? I mean, it's somebody designed the jobs and you go and do that. Whereas real estate business is not like that. You have to create your own schedule, you have to create your own goal, and then you have to create your own, you know, like, I mean, job. So it is important that is, you need to know that for that, how do you put yourself on the track? And that's why the goal setting is an important thing, right? And basically you need to think about that final destination. As I mentioned, whatever your ultimate goal by end of the year, the final destination is whether it's making 200,000 commission, or, you know, like, I mean, buying a new car, or changing house, or something like that. Like, I mean, your final destinations, you put that as a goal, right? I mean, the 3 things you wanted to achieve by end of the year, and this is in a pick 3 of that, right? I mean, and then you need put that, how much money is required for that, to achieve that, whether it's whatever it is important to you, right? Once you determine that, then you need to think about that. Okay, to make that 100,000 commission, how many transactions I need to do it, right? I mean, and an average house price, it depends, like, you know, where you are in a career. If you're really a successful real estate agent, yeah, obviously, if you make 2-3 houses, you can easily make $100,000 now, right? But if you're actually in the beginning of the career, you probably have to sell more. Like, and then average commissions, you do that, and then you make that, okay, you come up with 10 sales in a year. If you have to do 10 sales, how many times you have to actually do the prospecting? You know, who all are my the sphere of influence, and how do I actually do the prospecting? We spoke about that. You know, there are 2 types of prospecting: people whom you know, and people whom you don't know, right? People whom you know is obviously, it's all your friend circles and family and immediate families, and then, you know, like, those are the people whom you know. The hard part is the prospecting with people whom you don't know. That's because, you know, you need to introduce yourself, you have to actually talk about it, what you're good at it, and then, you know, like, have that plan, and then, you know, get their trust in that. So it is important that is, you need to have that kind of a goal and the prospecting plan to achieve that, whatever your final destination is in, you have it in the goal setting. So there is actually, I mean, you know, there are 3 triangles in the goal setting. which is, your personal, professional, and financial. Like everybody will, it is very hard to really focus on all those three things. You need to be mindful, right? I mean, if you're actually going to focus more on your personal life, your professional life will get impacted, right? And ultimately, that's financial will also do that. Because you think about it, like if you're actually spending so much of time in the family, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing it, but you need to determine what is important to you, whether it is focusing on personal life. Yeah, then you should be ready, that is you will be making less financial returns, because obviously you're spending so much of time in your personal life, you don't have enough time in the focusing on the professional life, and that will ultimately impacting your financial. Vice versa, like if you're focusing on your financial only, your professional life will be better, but you are compromising on your personal life, right? So the reason I'm actually sharing this, where in your career, right, instead of getting frustrated, you need to understand what is important to you and pick that battle, right? So if you're actually focusing more on the professional, you need to have that support system in your family, right? I mean, whether it's a spouse or children or whoever, I mean, older parents or something, like, you need to have that support, and it is important to have that open conversation, because these things you don't really realize that it can really fester in your mind, because you coming back and you're not able to actually focus on your work, because you've got a lot of commitment at the family side, but it's compromising your professional and the financial side. So if that's the case, then you have to sit back and change your business plan. Whereas by end of the year, you put a target about making $200,000, but where you're spending time, majority of the time on the personal things, so you're not going to achieve that, right? So that's why you need to have the right partner, in partner, and also with your, support system in the family, to have that open conversations. This is like my goal, and this is the plan for that. So, get that buy-in from your family members as well. Anything on the chat box? Nothing. Kana, you wanted to?
No, nothing on the chat box yet.
Chat box. Anybody wants to say anything? Any question, folks? Okay.
Good morning.
Yep. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm the new agent actually in the field.
Mhm.
I've been listening to these webinars, but I never had I never talked. So I just wanted to open up here. Actually, in 15 years ago, I was thinking that a lot of agents, though it's a bad, it's not a good idea to step in here. But after 15 years, I was realizing, I'm a good salesman. And then I was thinking, I thought this might be a good fit for me, right? And then I'm working in a company right now. And it's now I'm in the position to half and half. I cannot leave the job just to do the real estate, I'm afraid now. Like, should I leave the job and focus on the real estate, or I had to go both paths? So I'm so confusing now. And then also, in order to have, I'm having a Dodge Caravan now, right? So I had to upgrade myself in for just to look professional, or like to imagine, the way I show up, right? So I'm so confused. If I had to buy a good vehicle, then monthly payment is going to go up. But I'm just confusing. Should I leave the job and focus on real estate, or do both?
So,
and the thing is also the before you were talking about the people that we get impressed, right? So I do get a lot of impressions, like, people are who making more money, but I follow those, how they are going, how they are doing it. But sometimes, like, we face failures, right? So that's why I'm in the middle of the fence. So should I leave or do both, or and then most of the time, like, my clients are, like, working, so they only need me after 5 o'clock.
Right.
So
I think, Kanna, you actually unmuted yourself. It seems like you wanted to jump in. So if you finish your answer, then I'll
No,
chime in.
I just want to say thank you very much, Mohan, for sharing that with us. A lot of people go through that dilemma, and in a way, it's a very good problem to have, because at the end of the day, you're making a decision that's going to be improving your lifestyle, improving your life in order to be successful, right? So at the end of the day, there's only one person that can make that decision, and that's you. We're all here to help you to understand how real estate will be probably one of the best options for you, right? But at the end of the day, it's ultimately that decision is made on your end. Now, I know that we have a few other individuals, very successful real estate professionals in this group right now. If anyone wants to share their thought of how they overcame leaving their full-time job to actually do real estate full-time, and to give some of their advice, it'll be very, very nice. And Mohan, I'm sure you're going to be learning a lot from others' experiences as well. I'll just tell you my brief encounter with how I came into the real estate industry. I was 23 years old, and my entire goal was to work in law enforcement. Finished university, had a criminology degree. But before I met Salvana and his entire family, I was doing my RCMP examinations, Toronto Police, and military police examinations. While I completed majority of the testing and interviews. I'm sure a lot of people don't know this at all about me, but after going through that entire hiring process, and about to go into the RCMP and OPP, that's exactly the time, let's just say November of 2014, and then January 9th of 2015 is actually when I met Salvana officially at Home Life Future. And then, when I spoke to him for 40 minutes, him and his wife, Devianti, my in-laws at the moment. So, that meeting is what changed my entire life, and what I actually, from what I wanted to do to what I'm doing right now. And that motivation that I had in that 40-minute conversation with them in our boardroom at Home Life Future is the one that changed my entire path of 23 years being, wanting to be a law enforcement officer into now the finance and real estate industry. So I'm not going to delve into what conversation I had that day with them, but I can tell you that, seeing the inspirations, seeing the hard work other people put into, and how they want that to flourish within the community and within the family, and, to keep the family business running, is basically the conversation we were having. And yeah, like a 40-minute conversation changed my entire, what I want my entire future. And knowing that, we run Home Life Future as well, it's just pretty interesting. But, things like this are definitely what will motivate you. My motivation at that time was completely family oriented, and what was going to be happening in the future. But for you, it may be the exact same. How are you going to be successful within your family? How are you going to be buying a better vehicle, improving yourself on many different levels? Yes, I'm sure the real estate profession is one of the best ways to go. A lot of millionaires, a lot of billionaires are who they are right now through the real estate profession, through real estate investments. If you look at each and any one of them, regardless of the stock market, regardless of what other ventures, capital ventures they've been through, real estate has always been a catalyst to their success. Now we are brokers. We are the ones that are brokering that transaction. So we get commission on that sense. Also, since we're in this industry, we get upfront knowledge about what's happening in the industry, where to invest in. Should we invest in Hamilton, Halton region? Should we invest in Niagara? Where are the next developing areas? So as real estate agents, I'm sure, don't look at this profession as just buying and selling homes for your clients, but also increasing your success level of your personal net worth and your investments within real estate as well. I bought my first house when I was 23 years old, and counting. So all of that is what led me to where I am today. Again, once you find those specific motivational tactics, or what really pushes you further, you'll definitely make that move. And it's hard for me to tell you what to do. It's a decision that you'll have to make on your own. But I'm telling you, this industry is amazing, and I'm sure there's going to be a few others that would want to, and hopefully will like to share their experience as well.
Very good.
Delano has his hand up as well, so if you wanted to jump in.
Right.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for sharing your experience.
No worries, Mohan. No worries.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? How's everyone?
Very well.
Good.
Right. Hi, Delano.
Yeah, Mohan. It's a tough question that you have to answer, but you're asking. But the answer, I think, is in my opinion, I've had to ask that question several times before coming into real estate. And the best thing that I could recommend is you look at yourself being maybe 75 or 80 years old, and just think, when you're at that age, do you want to have any regrets that you could have pushed this to the limit? Could you have done your all? Could you have built something, not just a job, but could you have built something that's really special? Now, is your 9-to-5 job going to give you that opportunity? Are you going to be able to build that? Are you going to be able to take your family to the next level, and thereby your family being able to take the next generations to the next level? Is your job going to be able to do that? Is there any other job in the world that's going to be able to do that? Then please let me know. I'll go and join too. That's not an issue, right? So ask yourself that question. When you're 70, when you're 75, when you're pushing 80, if you have to ask yourself, did I give everything I had to real estate, or where my passion was? And did I do everything I could? And if the answer you give yourself today is the same answer you can give at that time, then make your decision. But it's a really, really personal decision. Like Anna said, it's a personal decision. We can give out the markers in our life, but you really have to sit down and think about it. Thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And first of all, Kanav, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you. It was very exciting. And then Delano, thanks for chiming in. Mohan, thanks for asking this question. As both of them said, but ultimately, it's your call, right? I mean, you need to make that decisions, what is good for you, because what you really like. First of all, those are the things which you need to think about, your extrinsic things, what I mentioned, right? I mean, are you a 9-to-5 person? Like, I mean, you come back and you don't want to be bothered. You don't want to get calls at 6 o'clock, somebody, because real estate business, clients, once you're working with them, they might call you at 8:30. They might call you at 9 o'clock at night. They don't actually really, it depends, right? I mean, and you have to spend your Saturdays, Sundays and all that. You don't have time, maybe, showing and all that. You have to leave a lot of parties and evenings and, kids piano lessons and all that. So that's what, look at the screen, the personal life, right? That is, you need to make that call. That's first thing, right? No one can actually answer that. The second thing, all that we said, and one tip I can share that with you. As far as the financial part is concerned, this is what you can do. Think about it. How much you made last year from that salary, right? I mean, you don't need to tell me. Like, I mean, I'm just asking. You ask that question. If you're making $50,000 or $100,000, whatever you're making it, was that enough for the family, right? So your first thing, you need to answer to your question, okay, my family is running fine, or it is slightly okay, it is 50,000 was we were making, and how much can I make that $50,000 from the real estate business if I leave the job you think about your short-term goal, right? I mean, in life, when you're actually starting something, you need to have two types of goals. One is a short-term goal and the long-term goal. The long-term goal is actually Delano and like Kanna and all that mentions, what are you going to achieve that? Like, I mean, after 5 years, 10 years and all the time. But the most important step you need to focus is the short-term goal, because you need to survive for the next 1 to 2 years. That's the most important thing. And then you take it to the business to the next level. That's your long-term goal. So your short-term goal, you need to focus that if you are making $50,000 from this current job, am I able to make $50,000 from this real estate business in next year, right? To make the $50,000, how many transactions I need to do it? Do I have that kind of client base? Do I have that kind of, like, I mean, and you mentioned that is you've been doing for this last 3 years. So how many transactions you did it last year and how much commissions you made it? That will kind of give you an idea whether you should leave the job immediately or you should wait for 1 more year and take that decision at that point in time.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, in these 3 years, like it's zero. I made $0 in the last 2 years. So in this year, I made couple of transactions. So I'm actually in the very beginning stage, right? But I kind of too much pressure, like taking care of the client and my work, right? And so I believe it's too early for me to leave the job. But if you ask me if I'm making what I'm making in the at my workplace, yes, I do make, right? But if I'm making what I'm making in the workplace, why do I have to stress myself doing the real estate? 9 to 5, it's easy for me, just go there and then, just do my job and come back at 5 o'clock at home and be with my family, right? So I had to prove myself and then making more than that and then leave the job. Isn't that right? Or
so, like, I mean, again, if you are going to actually get bothered after, you don't want, you only want 9 to 5 jobs and I don't want to be bothered. That's some things you have to make the call, right? I mean, if that is, nobody can actually answer that, that's a kind of peaceful life is what you're going. Yeah, then you're also compromising. Yes, if you're making $50,000 and that's what you're going to get it. Whereas you are envisioning changing your Dodge Caravan to BMW or something else, then that means you need to stretch yourself. And that's why you look at the chart here, then you need to actually compromise on your personal life, right? I mean, you have to focus on the professional, and that will ultimately going to help you in the financial return, right? So I think you mentioned, like, last 2 years, it's been 3 years now. Last 2 year was pretty rough. And this year you made few transactions. So before you make that, what did you do different than last 2 years and this year, right? So how did you get that transaction? So that is what you need to start focusing on that. Immediately, I wouldn't recommend, if you have that thing is, not leaving the job, but have a plan in place, right? And then you think about it, leaving the job or, focusing full time on the real estate business. You need to have that kind of plan in place first. And whatever you did and whatever worked this year, you got some commission and all that, then you start thinking about slowly transitioning from that. And also it's important to have that plan before you transition from that. How much time you're going to divert in the real estate business, right? Whether it is Saturday, Sunday and evenings and all that, fixed, but that timing for real estate. So if you think that during the business hours, you're not able to actually focus on that, you're absolutely right. It can be very daunting task for you, so at that time, you should not actually, set those kind of things. Like, you're taking your clients in the evening, at least 2 hours in a day. If you're going to focus on the real estate, you can have a plan, start working with few clients in the beginning and don't just go and commit in that. So that's why it's a slow transition. So that is some of the things. It's your personal life, and you need to control that. Only you can answer that. But if you ask me, yes, it is possible. And a lot of people actually came into businesses like that. I know all of them had actually worked somewhere and slowly transitioned that. It's a doable thing.
Yeah, and just on that note, I just want to share one more thing. a lot of individuals, especially in this group, and many realtors that we know, they do have full-time jobs and they do real estate part-time, or they do real estate full-time and they have a part-time job, vice versa, right? What I can share statistically is that the part-time realtors that we have at Home Life Future are one of the most successful, right? Why? Because they're driven. They have a full-time job. They know that they're getting their salary or their pay on a weekly or bi-weekly, monthly basis. At the same time, just for the additional income, they're doing real estate. So their drive to make money is why they're doing real estate part-time. And I can tell you that we have a lot of successful part-time real estate agents. That doesn't mean they have to be part-time. That's a choice that they've made. But we can only go based on numbers, right? And the numbers speak truth. And also on this point, our broker record, Salvan, he started real estate part-time as well, until he came to the realization that, hey, the fact that I have this much business working only part-time, imagine what I can build going into it full-time. And the reason why we have Home Life Future now, right? With over 643 agents. So again, let it build. There's going to be a point in your life, or there's going to be a message that's going to be given to you where you would then realize, hey, you know what, it's time to take this into full control and move into a full-time proposition, right? But then again, just want to say there's a lot of successful part-time real estate agents here as well. We see a lot of that, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, and Isan, like, am I pronouncing that name correctly? Somebody said, I mean, that's a nice tip. They said that, my suggestion is to partner with someone to keep your feet in the business for some time. That's a great idea. Like, it's also actually, partner with someone who's actually a full-timer, who's successful, because they also need your support. Because if a full-timer, maybe some of the things where you can do the back end, partner with somebody, and then it's you both the parties will benefit that, right? In that way, it will also help you to get your feet wet in the business, and then you will also, and that will help you to build your business base. And then maybe, you think about your short-term goal, right? I mean, 1 to 2 years. And that's the goal you need to actually, for you, if I were you, your goal setting activities will be by 2022, I need to make a decision whether real estate business is for me or not, right? And that, your first question is, how much are you making today? And how can I achieve that from real estate business, that amount of money, right? I mean, that's your short-term goal. And then, long-term is, of course, you make more money, because otherwise there is no point for you to leave the job and coming to real estate business if you are making the same amount of money, right? Your ultimate goal is to make more than what you are making today. So, yeah. So that's, yeah.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing and advising this morning. I hope these my questions and answers are helpful for other people who are listening to. Thank you so much for spending more time on my questions. Thank you so much.
No problem, Mohan. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Ramzan. Question for me, advertisement. I spend lots of money in the flyers. Return is a little less. What do you recommend? Should I go to the larger advertisement, like bus stand posters, or maybe digitalize the posters so on? What are the things I can do maximize my output when I do the advertisement?
So advertisement is never a waste of money. That is definitely, today's time. If you're not advertising and doing business on your own, it is like as good as you close the door and doing it. So you have to focus and spend money on advertising, right? Because this business is mainly in two channels. One is word of mouth, and the second thing is people already build the trust with you, and that's where actually doing it. The word of mouth is because they need to know that you are an active agent, you are in a successful real estate business, so that realtor. So that it's important to keep that advertisement, right? So don't stop that. Now, to answer your question, what are the channel you need to use it? You have to see what's your strategy, what's your business base, right? I mean, blindly advertising something doesn't make any sense. You have to say, like, how long have you been in the business?
Almost 4 to 5 years.
4 to 5 years. So think about that. Majority of the time, like, all the transactions you have done it, where is the business coming from? So you need to see your target audience and focus on that, whether it is coming from, especially all channel, utilizing all channel is an important thing. From that, you have to determine where is my businesses, majority of the business is coming from there, and target markets, right? I mean, you need to target those areas, such as if it is, bus boards and all that, it is a good idea because that's a wider audience will get to know, because buses going around the city and people will get to know and all that. That's a great thing. But have a budget, think about it, where is the business coming from, and continue to focus on that. And remember, these things, it's not going to happen overnight, right? I mean, because people who are actually, think about all this matured product, Pepsi, Coke and all that. Do you know where they spent maximum amount of money? In two areas. One is research and development, because they keep on looking for new product coming and introducing in the market. Second thing is they spent maximum amount on advertisement. The reason is, even if 3-year-old child will know that what is Pepsi and Coke is, but they still spend a lot of money in advertising. Why? Because they have wanted to stay in the market. They wanted to keep reminding the people, right? Otherwise, new product will come take their place. So marketing and advertisement is an important thing. Never stop that. You need to focus on what your target audience are. Based on that, you spend your money, and don't expect an immediate return. Like flyers is something, it's not that once you send the flyers and from that street start getting calls. It never happens. You have to continuously do it at least for 1-2 years, and then people will actually, because 90% of the time people don't look at the flyers, right? But keep on, when they're that 1 second when you take it from the mailbox and throwing it in the trash can, they will see that. But if you do it only once, they don't, right? So you have to continuously, if you're expecting immediate return, it doesn't happen. So somebody wants to chime in, I know people who have experienced people, but anybody? Okay. So I'm sorry, who asked that question? I forgot the name.
Ramzan.
Ramzan, did I answer your question? Was it helpful?
Yes, yeah, it is. And I spent lots of money last 2 years, flyers and so on. Then realized that effect was a little less. Then I'm farming area is not right for farming area. Then I'm moving to the different farming area now. Now I don't know whether I'm doing the right things, but I'm targeting many immigrant who's the recent immigrant. They're struggling first time. Hopefully they're going to buy the house in the sooner future. Now the moving to the farming area, and the 2 years I experienced in one area that didn't have much return, and then moving to another area. I don't know whether it's worth it to go to the different farming area, because that area was fully, sometimes it is a community, they attach to the one or two their own community members, the popular agent. So they're not, they're hesitant to come to the new agent. So I'm moving to the different farming area. But I don't know whether I'm going to spend another 2 years in the same new farming area, the same thing, or maybe I have to do something differently.
So, changing farming area is not a bad idea, because if you really feel that, and if you think that somebody who's already a matured agent, or, somebody, you're not going to get this thing. Changing your strategy it's not bad. Sometimes strategy can be, not always proactive. Sometimes you have to be reactive also, because if you see if it is not working. But at the same time, I don't know. You wanted to stop that. You continue, maybe reduce that, not completely off that. That can also sometimes backfire you, because then people will think that, okay, he used to do that, but, not anymore. But that will be at bad impressions. But if you're spending tons of money in one area, and if you're not getting any business from that, reduce the spend that area, but then expand it to another one, so that you're balance it out, and look at other channels. There may be some things which you can do, like, I mean, an online or those kind of things can be like, think about other avenues of not spending too much of money. Sometimes it's not just the spending money also, like there are many ways of doing that. Of course you need to, online is the main thing. Like if you, today's world, if you don't have a proper website, if you don't have an online presence, you need to really think that what you need to do with that, because it's important, because immediately people are going to search in Google, and like, I mean, that's what it's today's world it's doing, that the Facebook, the LinkedIn, and the Google review and all those things, it is very important. So think about those ones are all one time. And I'm hoping you already have a website, so like, I mean, those kind of things you can think about doing differently instead of spending tons of money where the business is not coming from. Yeah. Kana, do you wanted to add anything? I think he's on a mute.
I think we're pretty good here.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I mean, as I said, that goals are like a roadmap. They get you from one point to another. You need to know that that will really help you. What is your where do you want to arrive? What's your point of arrivals, and how you're going to get it? So that's why the goal is an important thing. Right, goals provide the directions you need to reach your final destinations. It's basically, it's going to be, tell you that, how am I going to get it? If I'm going to actually change my car or change my home or buy another house. So that's the goal, and that will actually help you. How do I reach that? It's a plan. Goal is a plan, and to working towards that, it will answer you, how do I reach that, right? And it is important to have your long-term goal and the short-term goal. The short-term goal is what is immediately you're going to achieve that, and the long-term goal is where are you going to take this business to the next step, right? So this is something, again, you need to, certain things you own yourself, right? The power of implementation. So that is, how do you actually stay on track? So this is an exercise you can think about yourself. Write a letter or write something, or find a partner, like, I mean, business partner in that, and then accountable to each other. Like if you have a plan, like, okay, let's do the door knocking together, and by end of the week, ask each other, like, I mean, did you stay on your schedule? Did you stay on your prospecting plan? How you far, and I mean, sometimes certain things you don't want to share with your partner. I understand, because there's a lot of competition. And that's why, or you can plan it on your own, write a letter and put it a place where you will see that every day. It is a reminder to yourself, because otherwise people tend to forget. You have all these kind of fancy plans and put it on the shelf. Then, you by end of the year, you just realize that you didn't do anything. So it is important that is put that plan, whether it is Mohan for you, by 2022, my plan is to change the job. Like, I mean, moving from current job to coming into the full-time real estate business, something like that. You write it and put it in a place where you see that on a daily basis, because that's the reminder to you, and that will actually help you to stay focused and focus with the goal, right? So, and again, when you're making a goal, be realistic. Like, they say that the SMART goals, which is specific, S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, and A is achievable, R is realistic, and T is timelines. What does that mean? The SMART goal should be specific. You don't want to say very vague goals, such as, I wanted to be a successful real estate agent. That's a very vague goal, right? I mean, that doesn't mean anything. What does success means? Are you saying, you want to have a nice car, or you just wanted to, just get the name and not making any money? So that's not that. Specific. It should be specific, which is basically saying that I want to achieve by end of this year X amount of money, right? Or I wanted to do that. It should be specific. And when you're making a goal, again, you need to able to measure it, right? By end of 2022, I wanted to achieve this much. You should be able to measure it and be realistic, right? I mean, you don't want to say that I want to be a business, a real estate tycoon, right? I mean, it doesn't work in that way, because if where in your career, it should be realistic also, because otherwise, but when you have those kind of vague and not achievable goal, it will only backfire you. It's only going to demotivate you because you think that, okay, I'm not able to actually achieve anything. So that is why you make, when you're creating a goal, it should be a smart goal. It should be very specific. You should be able to measure it. Is it really achievable, and is it realistic? And there should be a timeline for that by end of this year, because vague goal is not going to get you anywhere. And some of the things which you can actually think about it, it should be, like, get organized. It's very important that is a clean and a tidy and a well organized, life for motivated myself, and physical clutter, right? If you're spending so much of time in finding things and all that, that's your physical clutter. It's actually going to affect your mental health as well. And time management, we spoke about that. It is important to have the time management, and then like you need to have that, because that is what ultimately going to help you to achieve your goal. Success is what, finding motivation. And finding motivation, as I said, that nobody is going to motivate. Nobody can motivate yourself. You yourself have to motivate, which you need to find out what is the intrinsic motivation yourself and the extrinsic one, right? And setting up goals, having a goal is one part, but the power of implementations, that is up to you. You need to control that. You need to actually, you are the one actually going to implement that and make a commitment and being accountable, and the speed of implementation. Some of the things we all heard about, Terry Fox, like this is, again, somebody actually said that I thought about many times to leaving this job. So think about those kind of, people who have gone through a lot of hurdles, and what's in them. Like, because what is that? Fine, their motivation, more than the motivation and all that, they have an ultimate goal, right? So that is what it's actually keep them going and keep them actually on the job. So it's very easy to give up. It's very easy to say, I failed in that. But the toughest thing is actually stay focused and try to achieve your ultimate goal. And again, make sure if you don't have any goal or a business plan by today, or at least if you don't have made it in 2021, this is the time, folks. Make sure that is you go and find some things, and start with something very small, like by end of 2022, I wanted to do this, something like that, which is very small one, and then work backward to achieve that. What do I need to do it? How many transactions I need to do it? To get that many transactions, how many prospects I need to actually find out? To get that prospects, what are my plans? Am I actually going to, doing cold calls, or working with my friends and family and, referrals, or is it door knocking? So that's the way you need to actually work your goal on a backwards, right? And again, we spoke about the extrinsic motivation. So it is important to find your right partners and right influencers. Like, otherwise it is very easy to get influence, and the negative thoughts can actually influence you, more effectively than the positive thoughts, right? You must be on your own motivator, get organized, and, be a successful realtor. Any other question? Any closing comments?
Hi, this is Ramu. I have a question for Kannan. I'm just curious. I'm sure many other people have already asked this question. I have many friends. They are realtors. They are working for different brokerages, but they in their brokerage, like when there is a new project is coming, and they are getting the access fast, like their worksheet, price list, and everything. How come, like in our brokerage, we don't get that kind of service? Is there a particular reason, or how we can get that information, like faster than, faster?
Very, very good question, Rambo. Now, if you have any projects that you are you want access to, even last week in our session, we had one of our agents come out speaking about his VIP access at a specific development. A lot of our agents have VIP accesses. A lot of our agents have access to develop certain developments. We usually share this in some of our social media platforms. So if you try to follow those social media platforms, you'll get right away information, upfront information of what's being provided. I believe L Condos was promoted a few months ago in some of our social media platforms. Just recently, UC Towers, again, they're being promoted. And right now, also promotions of B4 condos and few other developments as well. So try following our social media page, and Ramu, give me an email asking me if you have any questions regarding the developments, and I'll send it to you right away as well. Or even the links to our social media platform.
So when you say our social media platform, you're talking about the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, it's in the WhatsApp.
We have Instagram, we have Facebook. It's also shared there. If you look at some of the stories, instead of the posts, if you take a look at some of the stories, we always post the stories up. And then that, is constant information that is new every single day.
Okay, thank you.
And if you need any assistance with that, just let me know, and then I'll help you to find out exactly how to access that.
Sure. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
And to anyone else, again, last week we had one of our agents here to speak about the development. Fayez was here speaking about his access, VIP Platinum access to one of the condos that are being constructed in Scarborough. A few months ago, we had L Towers, Vinod as well, was speaking about his access to the developments. If anyone has specific access that they feel that others don't, then definitely use this platform, our social media platforms, training sessions to advocate that. And also, email the office. If you get something and only you know about it, it's your responsibility to share. And once the office is aware about it, we will make sure everyone else is aware of it as well. We have very good colleagues at different brokerages, even Century 21 Innovative. One of my really good realtors there came to me and told me, hey, I have exclusive access. Send this out to all your home life agents because I have 15 allocations. I can't sell them myself. Instead of me just reaching out to my own brokerage, I'll reach out to others as well. And I share that information. I think we did 4 or 5 deals just with them. So, it doesn't matter which brokerage has what access. It's definitely available in our team as well.
Right. All right. I think if you don't have any other questions, guys, make sure that you have that goal in place. It is important. Otherwise, again, you will be like, blindly doing something. So you don't want to do that. By end of the years, you have to have that goal. And if you don't have it in 2021, this is the right time to start, for at least for the next year. And it's important. And again, next class, when you come, if there is any question in creating the goal and all that, it is, we feel free to discuss that. But this is it's an individual decision. Like, everybody's goal can be different. What is important to you is not the same for others. So it is, you have to create what is important to you, and based on that, create the goal. And that is what your game plan, like, how do you achieve that is what going to answer your goal, right? So we'll talk about that. If there is any question, we can either email Kanna, and then Kanna will share my questions, and we can actually discuss that topic again next week. Otherwise, if there is, if you don't have the goal, I can't stress the importance of having that goal in place. All right, Kanna, I think we don't have any question in the chat box as well, but thank you all. I hope you all enjoyed. We will speak next week.
Definitely. Thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next week. Take care.
All right. Thank you all. Bye.